Welcome back to another episode of Magic's in the Mess, the go-to podcast for ambitious women ready to stop pretending, start aligning, and finally build success your way. I'm your host, Danielle McKinley, speaker, business and wealth strategist, and your go-to problem-solving hype girl. Here, we'll help you unlock powerful mindset shifts, discover your magic, and bring your dream life into reality. Each week, I'll deliver raw stories, proven business strategies, and powerful transformations with industry leaders to activate the magic in you. So if you're ready to ditch the pressure, the performative BS, and the noise telling you who you should be, hit subscribe and let's make some magic. Hey, magic makers, welcome back to another episode. Today, I am so excited. I have my friend Chandler here. She is the woman entrepreneurs turn to when they are ready to protect their business, own their ideas, and confidently build something that lasts. She brings a bold, receipts-ready approach that makes legal strategy feel simple, empowering, and profitable. Her work lives at the intersection of law, brand, and confidence. She helps founders trust themselves, claim their space, and make decisions that move their business forward. In our conversation today, we're going to talk about trademarks, motherhood, negotiation, and the confidence it takes to grow a business that actually supports the life you want. I am thrilled to welcome her because I have actually used her to trademark my own business. And this episode is going to help you play bigger, protect what matters, and see legal strategy as one of the strongest power moves you can make. So magic makers, help me welcome Chandler to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I am so excited that you're here. You're just like a ball of energy and also business.
Oh yeah.
And that's my favorite thing.
Absolutely.
But I imagine you weren't always that way. Maybe you were. Let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Let's talk about little Chandler.
Little Chandler was bossy.
Ooh.
Super opinionated.
Yeah.
Super bossy. And I was very determined, still am. I think that's where it stems from. And when I was younger, I was on a mission to go to law school. Okay. I was ready to argue. I was on a mission to go to law school, but I actually went to law school for father's rights, which is really interesting. So entirely different scenario that I'm in now, but I went to law school originally for father's rights. And then I was working in it every day, all day. And I realized this is not how I want to spend the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So we made a pivot and here we are.
Oh, I love a good pivot. Okay, so I find this interesting because a lot of people that I get the pleasure of interviewing often are like, if you would have told me I was going to be this on my bingo card, I would have laughed at you, myself included. So you always knew you wanted to be a lawyer.
I knew I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't know that I wanted to run my own firm.
Okay.
I worked with a solo prior when I was in law school. I was interning with a solo practitioner, and I swore up and down I would never run my own law firm. It did not sound fun. I did not like all the things that I saw him having to do, but I actually think it was more my role in the firm that I wasn't enjoying. So now that I do own my own firm, it is something I enjoy.
Okay. Love this. Now, so you knew you always want to be a lawyer. You didn't know that you wanted to run your own firm. So at what point did you decide, like, I want to be the founder? I want to be the boss. I want to be bossy Chandler.
Yeah. When I was getting job offers and I saw the salary that they were offering and I was like, do you know what these law school student loans look like? It just was not adding up. And there was no feasible way that, it's really hard, I feel like, as a brand new attorney to make it into the field because no one wants to hire a brand new attorney right off the bat.
Sure.
Right? You haven't had that real world practical skill yet. And so I was getting these job offers from firms and they were saying, we'll offer you $60K a year. And after 5 years, we'll pay for you to go on a 2-week vacation. By the way,
sounds enticing.
I was like, oh, sign me up, right? And they were like, we're going to give you a gym membership, but they also said you're going to be working 12 hours a day. So I'm like sitting there doing the math. I'm not going to have fun with my life. I'm not going to have money and I'm not going to have my health.
Yeah.
So why would I continue to spend my time dedicating it to someone else? And so that's when I really dove more into the world of intellectual property because I'm like, how can I reverse engineer my life in a way where I can live the life I want and also enjoy what I'm doing and not feel like I am chained to someone else. And so
Yeah.
that's where intellectual property came in because it's federal, so you can work from anywhere. It's remote, so you're not chained to an office or tied to a desk. And it allows you to dive into so many different fun and creative outlets.
Okay, so how long were you at a firm? Like, when did the light bulb moment happen where you're like, this is it? This is the one where I can really build a life that I will love and feel good about around.
Right away. I never worked for another firm.
Oh my
I
goodness,
turned
I love
down I
this.
was brand new out of law school, I was getting these job offers, and I said, "No, no, no, and no," because the way I looked at it was, I'm already broke, I already don't have a job,
Sure.
and so there's nowhere to fall. Like,
Yeah,
it didn't feel like I could really fail because I was already at ground zero, and, everyone looks at that and they say, "Wow, it's so courageous to go out on your own and do this," but for me, it looked like the safe option because
sure,
I think it would be 10 times more scary to have been at a firm, say for 3 or 5 years and then decide, "Okay, now I'm gonna leave and try to start my own thing." I feel like the
yeah,
stakes feel so much higher when you already have a really comfortable salary.
sure.
For me, I didn't have that. So I'm like, "Why not just bet on myself from the very beginning?"
Okay, so I talk about something all the
Mhm.
time, and it's that when you're looking for strength, you have to decide.
Yes.
And that you're one decision away from
Yep.
changing everything. And if you decide and you truly believe in that decision, that you're going to be successful and that it's going to work out and that you're willing to go through the messy middle and
Mhm.
find the magic,
Mhm.
that it'll happen. So you just decided.
Decided, and it's so funny you say that. Something I say all the time, which is very aligned with that, is there is no plan B. You have a plan A and
Yeah.
you stick to plan A because if you have a plan B, you are subconsciously telling your mind that you are going to fail or
Hmm.
that there's a possibility that you can fail. So you have to just completely nix the idea of any plan B in your reality.
I love that for the mere fact that if you look at any journey or any successful person, they had tough moments.
Mhm.
They had messy middles. They had times when they questioned everything, when they doubted themselves. And so if you give up on plan A and
Mhm.
you move to plan B, the same cycle is just going to
Mhm.
repeat and you're starting from the beginning of the cycle with plan B.
Exactly.
So why not just go with the thing that called you to do it, that lit you up, that you were like, I feel it in my heart. I got to do this thing. So I really love that take on it. Now, take us through a little bit of your journey. So, you always knew you wanted to be a lawyer.
Yep.
You became a lawyer. You were like, screw the firms. I'm
Yep.
starting my own
Mhm.
stuff. Talk to us a little bit about the type of person that it takes and that who you were when you were making those decisions.
Determined. I was one track minded,
Hmm.
it was going to happen and it did. It paid off, but you really have to have tunnel vision and just move forward in whatever feels most in alignment and in your purpose. And you have to block out any additional thoughts. I mean, everyone thought I was crazy, right? Like my family and my friends were like, you just turned down job offers from
Yeah,
law firms and you currently don't have a job. Like, why would you do that? And in my head, I'm like, I'm gonna make this work, watch. And now, it's one of those things I feel like when you tell people, like, okay, watch, and then you do, you make it happen. And everyone's
sure.
kind of like, wow, imagine if you wouldn't have bet on yourself. And so you just really have to have an unshakable belief in yourself. And that's what I had. I had so much vision and so much I knew I was had to prove it to myself, but also there was a part of me that was like, I wanna prove it to others too, right? I
Sure.
wanna prove it to the people that kinda look at me like I'm crazy for doing this.
So let's unpack that a little bit because I think a lot of people really struggle
Mhm,
and stay in that space longer than necessary
mhm,
when the friends start looking at you and going, what are you doing? You're
mhm.
insane. That's never going to work out. When the family that's supposed to love you unconditionally and support you no matter what starts to challenge the direction that you're taking your life or the dreams and aspirations that you have. So when you sit in that moment, if you can take us back
Yeah,
to when people were challenging you
yeah.
and saying no, what happened internally to get you to keep going?
I was hell bent on proving them wrong, number
Mhm.
1, but also number 2, as an entrepreneur, I mean, even as a human, I truly feel like entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development
Yeah.
journey. I mean, because you are constantly evolving, you have to decide in your mind, you do not care what other people think about you.
Mhm.
You just have to turn that switch off, right? Because anyone who's sitting there judging you, you're probably doing more than them anyways. So you
Yeah.
have to shut that off in your head and move forward with like I said, what you know to be true.
Okay, magic makers, you hear the through line in this episode. I'm going to title, we have to have the word decide
Yeah.
in the title here. I always come up with the titles after the fact, and that's really the thread line through it all. And being able to look yourself in the mirror. And if you believe in you, if you're listening to this and you're doing something and you're in that messy middle where people are challenging you, people aren't agreeing with it, you're losing friends, maybe family members, if you know that it's meant for you and you decide to keep taking action, it will find you. And I truly believe that.
So true. There's also something to be said for there's this idea of, oh, we want to be liked, right? That's human
Mhm.
nature. We
Yeah.
want to be liked and we want to be accepted. But when I first started my firm, I'm actually a lot more digestible. Shockingly, I'm more digestible now as an attorney than I would say I was when I started because I was hell bent on proving that I could do it, but also proving that I could do it different than any other attorney.
Mhm.
So, I mean, of course, I'm tatted and I am more out there. And that is really how I branded myself, very much to the extreme. I've toned things down quite a bit, but I branded myself very much to the extreme, almost to make certain people not like me, right? Because
Yeah.
if I was not meant for those people, they were going to, it was going to detract them from wanting to work with me. And so there's an element of it's also a smart business move to you have to decide, you have to be okay with people not liking you, and then you almost have to go out and make certain people not like you, right? To push away the people who aren't meant for you.
Well, you took an opposite approach from what most people do. Most people want to have validation when they're first starting their business, so they people please
Yep.
and they try to attract everybody and be the solution for everybody.
Mhm.
And what they find when doing it that way is that that's never going to work out.
Right.
They learn the lesson the hard way. And so instead, you reverse engineered the process
Mhm.
and said, I'm going to attract the client that's attracted to that part of me, to that type of attorney,
Mhm.
that type of demeanor, that type of energy.
Yeah.
And if I'm being honest, that's why I work with you.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if shit hits the fan,
Yeah.
I want the girl that's like doesn't have any resistance to a tough
Right.
conversation, to a debate, and also knows how to negotiate.
Mhm.
Knows how to, so let's talk
Right.
about that because
Negotiation.
you love
Love it.
negotiation.
I love
And
it.
quick little story for our listeners. So the very first time that I met Chandler, we were at a mutual friend's birthday.
Mhm.
And this whole situation happened where she got this incredible cake for her. It was a 40th birthday, so it was a big deal. And the cake was so cute, except for we all got to see it through a picture because the restaurant decided to cut the cake and serve the cake before the birthday girl could blow out her candles on the whole cake. And you lit them up.
Well, not only that, but then they had the audacity to charge us a
Yes,
cake cutting
yes,
fee for cutting the cake that we never wanted them to cut in the first place.
yes.
It astounded me. Yeah, I was not thrilled.
So
And
that was my first glimpse into like, okay, if you want somebody on your side who's going to get stuff done, and I'm like this too, but you're more
Mhm,
than me,
mhm.
and it's a really good thing, especially for the line of work that you're in. So when did you realize that you're obsessed with negotiation?
I like getting what I want, and I
Mm-hmm.
don't like being told no.
Yeah,
That's when I don't wanna be told no.
yeah. And you, because I feel like I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
I've known you for about a year now,
Mhm,
but every time I meet you and every time we have an exchange, I like you more and more each time. And I can tell that little Chandler
mhm,
was probably like my daughter McKinley, who pushes back and who
mhm.
has another solution and another route and another angle. And that's what negotiation is.
Mhm.
So, for somebody who struggles with negotiation, let's give the listeners some quick tips on how to build that muscle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, number 1, confidence, right? You
Hmm.
have to be confident. If you are not confident in yourself, no strategy that we talk about is going to be impactful. It's not going to work. So you have to be confident and believe in yourself. And the biggest part, and this is where people get the most tripped up, is again, you can have any strategy, but if you don't just make the ask, it's
Hmm.
never going to work. You have to get really comfortable with asking. Why not? The worst thing that you can get told is no.
Yeah.
So being able to radically accept rejection is going to get you so far in business, in life, whatever it is that you want, but you have to be comfortable with being rejected.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more you do that, the easier it becomes. I have a big background in sales.
Mhm.
So, no always means not right now.
Yep,
And you got to figure out another way to make the ask. It's
exactly.
a new way to present the information, a fresh set of eyes, a fresh take. So, that pairs really well in the line of work that you're in.
Mm.
And I think it's really important that I don't think enough people understand the importance of trademarks and how it protects their brand, their identity, their business. They so often assume that, oh, I've got the Instagram, I've got the website. So I want to tap into your genius
Yeah.
here and start to unpack the importance of a trademark and the importance of having an attorney that knows how to negotiate when it comes to getting your trademark.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
let's do it.
Well, first of all, you don't own your brand unless you have a trademark, right?
Yeah,
That is the biggest thing. And I feel like when I say brand, it's kind of elusive. People don't necessarily know what that means, but it can be the name of your brand, it can be the logo, it can be podcast, whatever asset it is. You have multiple different assets in your brand, and those are all things that you can trademark, right? And if you are using something, even if it's unintentional that someone else already has, whether it's an identical copy or not, you can get in trouble for infringement. And it's not just a slap on the wrist that says, hey, you have to stop using this name. It's, hey, not only do you have to stop using this name, but we can take any and all profits you've made since
Mhm.
using this name. And so that's where things get scary, right? And we want to keep people out of that mess. I always say, if you are in the desert, would you rather step on a landmine and have someone come and deactivate it about an hour later? Or would you rather have someone give you a map so you can avoid stepping on the landmine in the first place?
Sure.
Right? You obviously want to
Matt,
avoid
please.
stepping on the landmine because by the time your foot's on that landmine, you're like sitting there sweating, right? Because you don't know how it's going to turn out. You're stressed. You can't sleep. You can't think about anything else. Your stomach is in knots. And so, taking a proactive approach to legal is, I always talk about it. It's infusing the right proactive legal strategy into
Mhm.
your business because that can, number one, set you up for so much success down the road, but also it's going to truly protect everything that you're building. Because if you are not kind of guarding your home, you're not guarding what you're building, someone can come in and it can just be absolute destruction.
I've seen it. I have
Hmm.
friends that have gone through it. I have seen how destructive it can be and how disruptive
Yeah.
it can be to what you're building
Hmm.
and having to really pivot and rebrand. So, for somebody who has maybe met with a trademark attorney or been on the fence with meeting with one and thinks like, "Oh, it can wait." What would you say to
Mm,
them?
time is of the essence. Time is of the essence, and I don't say that from a I'm a trademark attorney bias standpoint. I
Sure.
say that from a I've personally waited 3 days to file my own trademark before, and someone went on and filed something within that 72-hour period.
Yeah.
And I was so mad at myself because I knew better, but I just keep putting it off. I've had clients wait a week or 2 weeks and they come back and they're like, "Okay, I'm ready to file now." And in that time frame, someone went on and filed for exactly what they wanted, which
Mhm.
means now they're SOL, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it. I've had a friend who it came down to, and this is not a usual scenario, but it made my jaw drop. It came down to 5 minutes. Someone filed a trademark 5 minutes
Oh.
before she did. So, when you file your trademark application, they're going to be looking at who filed first,
Mhm.
right? Whoever filed first is going to get priority. And generally, you're thinking in a matter of days or weeks. No, this came down to minutes. So within 5 minutes,
Wow.
someone went on and had filed their application 5 minutes before she did. And so they got priority and she was SOL.
And had to fully rethink
Yeah.
everything. And
Mhm.
did this particular client already have maybe a website established,
Oh, yeah,
assets
absolutely.
established,
Mhm.
branding, Instagram handles, all the things?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the message here, let's say it loud and clear
Yeah.
for the people on the way back. Get off the fence
Mhm.
and get your brand protected.
Definitely. I mean, we think about it from the standpoint of legal isn't as sexy, right? Like
Yeah.
it is so much more fun to invest in branding and to invest in copy and to invest in, branded photography and things like that. And it feels more tangible in the
Mhm.
moment because you're getting, within a couple weeks a deliverable, right? That you
Sure.
can see and you're like, wow, this is beautiful and it's stunning. And it is. But if you are investing all of this money into your brand, into building a beautiful brand, but you are not taking the step to actually own your brand,
Yeah.
then you don't own any of what was just created, right? And all of that can, in essence, go away. So if you're taking the steps to invest all this money to create this big, beautiful brand, then you also want to make sure that you are taking steps to own it. So it's always interesting to me when people are spending, thousands on branding and thousands on photography and thousands on all this stuff, which it is worth it 100%,
Right.
but it is also worth it to trademark your brand, and that's where a lot of people are like, to exactly what you said, "I'll wait."
Yeah, what do you think the all weight will comes from? Like when you talk to people and they decide not to do it, where does the resistance come? Because that's going to connect with the listener that's doing it.
Mhm.
And what I really want for every single person that listens to this podcast is to go get a trademark on their brand because there's no sense paying twice for something and having what's coming from your heart and coming from you is it's magic. It's true magic. So you want to have it protected. So what would you say to them? And what do you see?
What I see a lot is people thinking it's too expensive.
Mm,
And what's so interesting about that is, again, you're
yeah,
investing like thousands into this brand. And when the too expensive conversation comes up, I think it's just comes down to looking at what really is too expensive because yeah, I'm not saying it's no investment. There is an investment to owning your brand,
sure.
but the investment in having to try and defend a claim or the investment in losing your entire brand because someone else trademarked it or the investment in not even investment but essentially someone suing you and then you have to
Yeah,
pay any and all profits that you've made to that person, so you kind of have to weigh your options
sure.
and make a decision that is in alignment with what you want for your future.
Yeah, I think what is happening is they get the idea,
Mhm,
they have the excitement, they've
mhm,
got the momentum, they start investing in it, they start doing the things, and the money isn't quite rolling in yet. And then they probably learn. I think a lot of people don't know that you
yeah,
don't own your brand if you don't have a trademark. I think that's a big part of it. So now you know if you're listening to this, you know that,
right.
right? So one of the things that's important is stop doing girl math. Stop waiting for girl math. There's not going to be a sell. There's not going to be a twofer. It's something that is part of the cost of doing business. And oh, by the way, it is a tax deduction. You know, I'm a money queen and you can write that off. So you're just, instead of paying Uncle Sam, you're protecting your brand and you're protecting yourself from paying double and doing double the work and having to now create something that didn't necessarily come from you. You're trying to fit it into a new box because you didn't protect the container.
Absolutely. And it gets really fun because when you do own your brand, then you can start leveraging it and actually monetizing it even more
Yeah.
through licensing. Or if it comes time where you want to exit your company, the
Yeah.
valuation is going to go significantly higher because you actually have ownership over what you built.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You
Mhm.
took the words right out of my mouth because I have built multiple SaaS companies. I had a huge exit with one of them, and our evaluation was higher because it was a software company and we owned the trademark
Yep.
for the brand. And in looking at other comparables and other people that were doing similar things to us, we evaluated much higher as a
Yeah.
result of that. So talk a little bit about that and how, because everyone has an exit strategy, and your exit doesn't necessarily have to be that you are going to sell the company. It could be that you're going to work your way out of it. It could be that you're going to expand it. It could be that you're going to pass it down, right? There's lots of different ways to sit to participate in an exit. But no matter what path you choose, you're going to have a higher eval if you've got a trademark. So let's talk about that a little bit.
100%. So when we say a trademark is a form of intellectual property.
Hmm.
And intellectual property is very similar to real property. It's not as tangible because you don't have keys to a home, right? But it is still property that you own. And so you essentially get a piece of this pie that is exclusively yours. And you are building a reputation and you are building goodwill on that. And when it comes time to sell, when we think about it, just from a liability standpoint, what buyer is going to want to take on the liability of buying a company when you don't even own the brand? You don't even fully own what you have established and created because now they could be taking on a liability where they could get sued and have to pay out all the profits that you and then them will make in the future,
Hmm.
right? So when you have ownership of that, it is also you're giving someone safety.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It's, if we haven't drilled it down enough, if we're not beating the dead horse, you need to get a trademark.
Mhm.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about, because we're on Magic's in the Mess.
Yeah.
I want to peel back the curtain a little bit on you.
Okay.
And I want, because people like to do business with people that they know,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And I want people to do business with you because you're a baddie.
Mhm.
Also, before we do that, we're going to totally pivot. Is there like a prerequisite that trademark attorneys need to be hot and blonde and tall?
Oh, I thank you.
I,
No, not at all.
all there's so many, and I want, if you're listening to this, slip into the DMs and let me know if you're finding the same thing too, because I've worked with a couple of trademark
Mhm.
attorneys, and all of them are tall, hot, and blonde. So I just needed to get that out there. Okay.
Yeah, thank
All
you.
right. Let's peel back the curtain on
Okay,
you a little
let's
bit.
do it.
And let's talk about a moment when you were in the journey. Was there a
Mhm.
moment where you doubted it all? Where you doubted if it was going to work out, or anything happened that you thought was going to derail the process?
I will tell you, when I became pregnant
Mhm.
and I was going through the journey of pregnancy, and, my daughter is just turned 15 months,
Mhm.
so her first year of life, and being a single mom, and I, prior to having her, really did everything on my own. I didn't lean into a team at all. It was really all me because I was one of those people that thought, "I can do it all." And
Yeah.
even when I had my daughter, London, I thought, "I can do it all. It's fine. I'm gonna be a single mom, and I'm still gonna do it all, and I'm gonna keep her home. She's never gonna go into daycare, and I'm still gonna work as much as I work, and I'm still gonna travel as much as I've been traveling." I mean, I used to be out of the country, like, every single month, right?
Mhm.
That is not my life. You quickly
Yeah.
learn that is not reality, and so there was a moment of, "How do I do this? How do I balance it?" I don't think it was a matter of, "Can I do it?" I know I always can, but the question of, I don't know how. I
Mhm.
reached a point where I was just like, I don't know how to continue to be this powerhouse, but also, you know, I'm a mom now, and then I was going through postpartum depression, and that was difficult. So there was just a lot of different layers at that time.
Okay. I want to go there because I don't think people do it enough. And
Yeah.
every chance I get to talk about experience with postpartum, because I too experienced it. And you are a lot like me. You're an overachiever. You are a decider. And if I decide something's going to happen, it's going to freaking happen. Okay. And I think for especially women that have personality types and tendencies like us, it's hard to even recognize postpartum depression because you're just like, it's fine. I'll keep pushing through. Everything's going to be okay. And based on what you just shared with me, I'm going to assume that it's tough for you to ask for help.
Oh, 100%.
'Cause same.
Impossible.
I
Yeah.
recognize it in you because we recognize
Yeah.
things in other people that we too have, right?
Mhm.
And if I ever ask you for help, just know it's the hardest thing that I'm doing,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And if you say no, I will never ask you for anything
Yeah,
ever again in my life because now I feel like a burden.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, so let's go there. Let's go to postpartum Chandler.
Mhm.
You are a boss at work.
Mhm.
You are somebody who has always gotten what you wanted,
Mhm.
and you have this expectation that you're gonna be able to still juggle all the things when you put something so huge on your plate. What would you want what would you have wanted someone to tell you while you were going through that?
To give yourself grace, to give yourself grace and be okay with slowing down for a
Mhm,
little bit. And I think in hindsight now, and you hear it, but I don't think it hits until you're out of it, but to truly appreciate the time that you're in
mhm.
and appreciate the small moments and the cuddles because it does go by too fast.
Yeah.
It goes by so fast, and I wanted to keep up with the life I had built so bad. I mean, I was working, and I mean, an hour I was working 20 minutes after I gave birth. My legs were in the stirrups, and I'm replying to clients, right, on my phone. And then I go to the post-delivery room, and I'm like, "Here, you can hold her, and I'm gonna be sending off clearance search results to clients." And I look back on that version, and I'm so sad
Mhm.
because I wish I would have just everyone could have waited 24 hours,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think anyone was so pressed to the point that they were even gonna say something about waiting 24 hours, but
And it's not like they knew, like,
no.
"Oh, you just gave birth and now you're" and if they knew
Mhm.
that, they would be like, "Why are you emailing me?"
Exactly. But there's an internal pressure on us to perform, and I didn't want to let anything slip. And I didn't want, yes, I'm a mom now, but I'm still this businesswoman, and I'm still an attorney, and I'm still going to deliver. And I am kind of psychotic about, client response times. So I still wanted to meet all of those up to my standards. And you really get just thrashed into an entire new world when you become a mom. And
Yeah.
I think that, when they are little, when your babies are little, they're sleeping a lot. So
Mhm.
it was a lot easier for me the first 3 months of her life, I would say, because she was
Yeah.
sleeping and I could work while she's sleeping or while she was on my chest, and then they start not sleeping all the time anymore,
Yeah.
right? So it's a constant journey of learning because every time you get into a routine,
Yeah.
you have to get into a new routine, right? Because they change.
Yeah. I think back because we have very similar stories with my firstborn, same thing. I was answering emails an hour after delivering and working at nap time and all those things. And after going through postpartum, I realized that with my daughter, I wanted hindsight's always twenty
Yeah.
twenty. So I think for somebody that's listening to this that either is becoming a mom or is in the thick of it and is really nodding their head and saying to the things we're talking about, that you pause and ask, like, is someone's life at stake?
Right.
Right? Because we're not brain surgeons. Nobody's going to die if you take a moment, and you only get one experience at life. Whether you are a mom or not a mom, it doesn't matter. You get to choose. It goes back to deciding, right? Decide is our through line of this episode. Deciding what you want that experience to be. And it's okay to stop and enjoy the moment and not have to always perform. And I didn't know that for me, and I would love to understand about you, is that for me it was all tied to my childhood and some of my childhood traumas and why I felt that need to perform. And I think that's where it lands for most people. Would you say that that's where it lands for you as well?
Absolutely. And that perfectionism and that
Mhm.
the want to do everything right
Sure.
and make people happy and that people pleaser energy essentially.
So, do you feel that you're still struggling with that today, or do you feel like it's a work in progress? Where are you at?
I think it's a work in progress. I am pretty boundaried now in regards to work because I've also realized how can I sit here as an attorney and help clients with boundaries and preach boundaries, but we have none for ourselves,
Yeah.
right? So we're bringing on another attorney and she was asking me, about work times and response times. This was yesterday. And I expressed to her, she's like, if we're working with someone from Australia or wherever it is out of the country, do you expect me to essentially like get up in the middle of the night and
Yeah.
have a meeting with them? And I'm like, absolutely not. No, don't do that, right?
Yeah.
We teach people boundaries and we preach boundaries and we help people implement boundaries. And so we need to be able to set those boundaries ourselves as well. And I think there's a level of, mm, I would say not as much in business, but probably more in my personal life.
Mhm.
I'm realizing there's still a level of wanting to be wanted or accepted, right? And that's natural, but we also have to turn that off in our brain or kind of
Yeah.
work past that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I think it's okay to be in the middle, but to keep
Mhm.
asking for the help,
Yeah.
right? So, what would you say to someone who is just beginning their entrepreneurial journey or they're hitting a rough patch? What advice would you give them?
Ditch the plan B, right? It always goes back to ditching the plan B and deciding, which again, it's the through line here. You have to just make the decision and you have to decide and you have to move forward like it is going to turn out exactly how you want it to turn out.
Okay. I love that. Now, being two people that
Mhm.
struggle to ask for help, what's something that you're doing to build that muscle and to work on doing it? Because we all need help. We can't, no, nothing big happens alone.
Nothing big happens alone. That's so real. I have gotten fairly decent in business
Okay.
with asking for help. Now, I feel like I do still struggle in my personal life to ask for help. It's a lot different when it comes to business because you can almost turn on your business owner hat and you're
Yeah.
like, "I'm delegating and this is good because I'm getting my time back," right? And so it almost becomes an addiction in business because delegating feels great because then you can do more and you can focus on more things. And it gets to feel really good in business, but in personal life, it's still difficult. So I don't know if I have an answer for you in regards to personal life. I'm trying to be open more to receiving, especially when
Mm.
people are offering the help.
Yeah.
But as someone who very similar to you, it's I got it. I got it. I'll figure it
Yeah.
out. I got it. So I'm trying to micro delegate more things in my personal life that don't make me feel as out of control. So meal prepping, right? If I
Yeah.
can have someone help prepare meals and delegating um house cleaning and things like that. It's interesting. As I'm saying these things, I'm thinking, and I'm wondering if you feel this way too. I feel like it's harder for me to ask for help when it's just asking for help from someone out of the good nature, kindness of their heart
Mhm.
versus paying for help. It is so much easier for me to pay for help
Yeah.
than it is to just fully receive because someone wants to give that.
Okay, absolutely. And I am definitely unlocking my receiving era.
Mhm.
I'm trying to work on that and to receive and just like not feel the need to then also give, like to immediately give.
Mm.
So, one thing that I've been doing that I'm using as a way to help build that muscle is when I go to a group dinner or dinner with a girlfriend and they want to pay. Normally, I will be like, oh, no, no, like we'll split it. You don't have to do that. And instead, I'm just saying, thank you. I'll get the next one. And it's my way of like, and I'm working up to just being like, thank you. And knowing that I'm the type of person that will give back and will be generous with that kind of thing, but not having to vocalize it. So right now I'm at the thank you, I'll get the next one because that's what hits me. That's what
Mhm.
pushes down the like, okay, I gotta do it too.
Mhm.
And I'm going to work up to just the thank you.
Yes.
And that's just something little that happens to everybody.
Mhm.
It could be a coffee. It doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily have to be a dinner. It
Right.
could be a breakfast. It could be them bringing you something and not feeling the need to have to immediately give back.
Right. That's smart. So good. I think about even when I'm sure you've done it. It's like anytime I go and I get a coffee for a friend or I'm like, "Hey, I'm stopping here. Do you want something?"
Yeah.
If they offer to pay me back, I'm like, "I'm insulted. Don't do that." Like, it's
Yeah.
fine. So when we think about it on the flip side, if someone is offering something, it's probably because they genuinely want to do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's another element to it
Mhm.
that's great is, and if they do pay you back, don't say anything about it.
Right.
Don't make it an insult,
Right.
right? That's just that has nothing to do with you. That has
Right.
everything to do with them.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a challenge.
Okay.
I've been loving challenges lately.
Yes.
So let's challenge the listeners
Mhm.
to do one thing to just accept and receive
Yep.
and then to share it with us.
Yes.
So send like do the coffee or do the dinner or the tab and tag Chandler and I in the
Yes.
post so that we can celebrate you and we can all work on our receiving era together.
Absolutely. It's so needed.
Okay, I love it. So hopefully somebody listening to this understands and now they've already before they hit pause on the episode and they looked you up and they were like, okay, I need to get the trademark. But in case they haven't done that yet, I want to make sure they know where to find you. So where can our listeners find you?
At The Lethal Lawyer
On Instagram.
on Instagram.
Okay, perfect. And we will definitely tag that in the show notes. And you and your team, I've worked with several trademark attorneys. I've filed many in my experience in my entrepreneurial journey, and you guys have an incredible onboarding process. Your team is fantastic. You are a wealth of knowledge. And so if you are listening to this and you haven't yet protected your business, go connect with Chandler. Now, before we wrap up, something that I love doing on the show is celebrating our magic moments
Yes.
within the last week. I don't think as entrepreneurs, and especially as women,
Mm.
we don't pause to celebrate the cool things that happen, big or small. So, what is something we can help celebrate with you today?
Okay, so I actually have 2 things.
Yes, love it.
So, one is on Wednesday, I went and talked to a group of college students in the
Mm,
entrepreneurship department about all things legal, and I received incredible feedback. So, that was really fun and just a good reminder that what you do is impactful because a lot of
yeah,
times we can get in the weeds so much. So, hearing that feedback was really impactful. And another one in the personal life is this morning. Every morning, my daughter gets ready, we get her ready, get her dressed, and we'll go to the mirror and we'll do a fit check,
love.
and she'll go up to the mirror and give herself a kiss,
Oh,
and it just makes my heart melt every single time, and if I it can instill self-love into her, then I have
man.
done my job, and that's what matters most.
Oh, those are huge. Well,
Thank you.
congratulations. And thanks for all the goodness that you're putting out. I look at you truly as a magic maker. So you are a part of the community officially. Go find her, friends. If this episode hit home, I want you to like, I want you to subscribe, I want you to share it with a bestie that needs this message too. And we will check you next Tuesday.